4 teenage girls were found bound, gagged, and burned inside a yogurt shop. The city thought they had the killers, until DNA proved otherwise. 30 years later, the case is still unsolved, and the truth is darker than anyone imagined. If you believe justice shouldn't expire, like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe, because we're not done digging beneath the narrative. They were closing up for the night. 4 teenage girls working a quiet shift at a small yogurt shop in Austin, Texas. It was December 6, 1991. The holiday lights were up. The streets were calm. But inside that shop, something horrific was about to unfold. Jennifer Harbison, 17, and her younger sister Sarah, 15, were working the counter. Their friends Eliza Thomas, 17, and Amy Ayers, 13, had stopped by to hang out. They were good kids, honor students, athletes, the kind of girls who made their parents proud. At 11:03 p.m., a police officer noticed smoke coming from the I Can't Believe It's yogurt shop. Firefighters arrived within minutes. They broke down the door and entered a scene that would haunt them forever. The shop was engulfed in smoke. The fire had been set deliberately. In the back room, they found the bodies of all 4 girls. Bound. Gagged. Shot execution style. One of them, Amy Ayers, had been shot twice. The second bullet was fired after the fire had started. The crime was brutal, senseless, and it shocked the city of Austin to its core. Investigators launched a massive search. They interviewed hundreds of people, collected evidence, but the scene had been compromised by the fire. DNA was degraded, clues were scarce, and the killers had vanished. For years, the case went cold. Then, in 1999, police arrested 4 young men, Maurice Pierce, Michael Scott, Robert Springsteen, and Forrest Wellborn. They were teenagers at the time of the murders. Now they were in their 20s. The arrests were based on confessions, but those confessions were deeply flawed. Michael Scott was interrogated for over 20 hours. At one point, detectives threatened him with the death penalty. He eventually confessed, but his story changed multiple times. Robert Springsteen also confessed, but his account contradicted Scott's. Neither confession matched the physical evidence. There was no DNA linking any of the 4 to the crime scene. No fingerprints. No eyewitnesses. Just coerced confessions and a desperate need for closure. Scott and Springsteen were convicted, sentenced to life and death, respectively. But doubts lingered. Defense attorneys argued the confessions were unreliable, that the interrogations were abusive, that the real killers were still out there. In 2008, new DNA testing revealed male DNA on one of the victims, and it didn't match any of the 4 men. The convictions were overturned. Charges were dropped, and the case was reopened. But no new arrests were made. The families of the victims were devastated. They had believed justice had been served. Now they were told the killers were still unknown, that the case was back to square one. In the years that followed, the yogurt shop murders became one of the most infamous cold cases in Texas history. It was a symbol of investigative failure, of lives lost, of justice delayed. And in 2025, it's resurfacing again. New forensic techniques are being applied to degraded evidence. Investigative journalists are re-examining the case. And public pressure is mounting. People want answers, closure, truth. But the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. The original investigation was riddled with errors. Evidence was mishandled. Leads were ignored. And the confessions, the cornerstone of the prosecution, were obtained under duress. Michael Scott was videotaped reenacting the crime. But in the footage, he appears confused. He asks detectives where the victims were found. They tell him. He adjusts his story. It's clear he's being led. Robert Springsteen's confession includes details that were never verified. He claims he raped one of the girls, but DNA testing later proved he didn't. The prosecution argued that the DNA belonged to an unknown accomplice, but that theory was never proven. Maurice Pierce, the alleged ringleader, was never tried. The case against him was dropped. He was later shot and killed by police in 2010 after allegedly pulling a knife during a traffic stop. His death added another layer of tragedy to an already devastating story. Forrest Wellborn was never charged. A grand jury declined to indict him. He disappeared from public view. So who killed Jennifer, Sarah, Eliza, and Amy? Some investigators believe it was a robbery gone wrong. That the killers entered the shop after closing, demanded money, and panicked when they saw the girls. Others believe it was a targeted attack, that the girls were stalked, hunted, and silenced. The fire was set to destroy evidence, but it also destroyed lives. Amy Ayers was the youngest, just 13. She was shot once in the head, but survived. She crawled across the floor trying to escape. The killer returned and shot her again. That second bullet was fired after the fire had started. It was a final act of cruelty. Jennifer and Sarah were sisters. Their parents buried them side by side. Eliza was an only child. Her mother never recovered. The city of Austin still remembers. A memorial stands near the site of the yogurt shop. Flowers are placed there every year. But the case remains unsolved. And beneath the narrative, beneath the headlines and the documentaries, lies a deeper truth. This wasn't just a murder. It was a failure of justice. A reminder that confessions aren't always truth. That pressure can distort memory. That desperation can lead to error. The yogurt shop murders are a cautionary tale. About the limits of forensic science. About the dangers of tunnel vision. And about the pain of not knowing. In 2025, new efforts are underway. Cold case units are re-examining the evidence. Advanced DNA techniques, including familial matching and probabilistic genotyping, are being applied. There's hope, but there's also fear. That the killers may never be found. That the case may remain a wound that never heals. For the families, time hasn't dulled the pain. They still ask the same questions. Who did this? Why? And will they ever be held accountable? For the city, the case is a ghost. A reminder of innocence lost. Of lives cut short. Of a night that changed everything. And for us, the storytellers, the seekers, it's a challenge. To look deeper. To question the official story. To find what's been buried. Because beneath the narrative lies the motive. Like if you believe the truth still matters. Comment your theory. Who do you think really did it? Subscribe.